What's good, y'all? I'm here with another video, and today we're gonna be reacting to wrestling premiere again. I know I've been kind of on the wrestling little streak, but the Royal Rumble just came out and people been dropping wrestling content. But yeah, it's when Edge came back in late 2007. So let's get to it.
Edge had done well for himself by 2006. He established himself as a surefire main eventer and a mainstay at the top of the WWE. He was the character that easily stood out, a mix of sex and violence. Edge had grown into a trustworthy talent, a talent WWE could rely on to hold the world title. So he moved to SmackDown. The move to SmackDown greatly
Damn, that briefcase just reminded me of like Mr. Kennedy could have been something crazy. You know what Mr. Kennedy reminds me of? Mr. Kennedy could have been like, they're not the same, but like he could have been like LA Knight, and the potential that LA Knight has. I feel like that's like kind of the potential Mr. Kennedy could have had. That's crazy.
benefited Edge as it allowed for him to leave the likes of Triple H and John Cena in order to forge his own path as a world champion. SmackDown was less dramatic and less political, so he obviously loved it, and coupled with his roots on Friday nights, Edge was a natural on SmackDown. Technically Thursday nights, but you get what I mean. He had plenty of memorable moments in such a short time, but it was all ruined by a shoulder injury. It was his time to run things. He was the #1 guy on Friday nights, but just like that, he had to once again vacate a title. Luckily for Edge, though, this injury didn't leave him sidelined for too long. 4 months is a long time in WWE, but when you look at the roster, there was no worries about him losing his spot. Plans were in motion for Edge's return. It was rumored that Crystal Marshall was going to be a bigger character and side with Edge upon his return. And as you guys know, that did happen, except it was Vicky Guerrero. Edge went through a tough rehabilitation process in order to return by November. I don't know if WWE couldn't stop themselves from being excited, but they basically told you Edge was coming. He was on the poster and in commercials of the Survivor Series pay-per-view. A lot of you guys remember, the roster was so light and the returns of Edge and Jericho was basically WWE telling everyone to calm down. With that said, Hell in a Cell between Batista and The Undertaker was incredible. It added so much to their already iconic rivalry. Just as The Undertaker had things wrapped up, Edge came in and once again, he was one step ahead of The Undertaker. Yeah. He caught him off guard and blasted him with a camera before hitting a concerto, leading to Batista retaining the title. Great moment. Edge was already pissing me off as a kid. This motherfucker was everywhere. You turn around, you see him doing something, he stands tall to end the show on top. He was already pissing me off as a kid on Run. Now we had to see him do this to Batista and Undertaker. He even blasted him after the match. The Rated R superstar is facing some long-term ramifications from his actions at Survivor Series. It's just nobody knew that these ramifications were anything but terrible. Vicky Guerrero scolded Edge and decided to punish him by giving him a World Heavyweight Championship match. He almost couldn't understand this, but ended up revealing that Vicky played a part in his return at Survivor Series, and this man was all up in her face like her name was Lita. Maybe the red hair fooled him, I don't know. But this decision to pair Edge and Vicky added another dimension to this ultimate opportunist character. In doing so, and one...
Nah, definitely, he took the nickname Ultimate Opportunist to a... It actually made sense why he was called that, bro. He was the personification of get it by any means. He will do anything to get what he wants, bro. He was doing anything to get to that title. Being with Vicky, like... making these plans, whatever, bro. Like, he was gonna get it by any means, bro.
Once again, reiterated the fact that Edge would stoop to any level to get what he wanted. Because he was such a compelling character at the time, being able to be this slimy heel, he was rewarded with an even stronger presence on the show. World title is better than anything in the world, so there's that. The world champion Batista couldn't understand why Edge deserves a title shot, and the reasons Vicky gave were weaker than Edge's spear. Later that night, the Rated R superstar hosted the Cutting Edge with his guest being Batista. He asked the fans if it was great to see him again, and they booed. I mean, what the hell do you expect? Your name is Edge. You piss off everyone else. For once, he actually gave credit to somebody for his success, and that was Vicky. Edge also revealed that he had planned this for 4 months, and the culmination was him winning the World Heavyweight Championship. Batista was fuming. I don't know if it's because he's wearing the oversized super-duper band-aid on his head, or the fact that Edge and Vicky were plotting. He told Edge to shut up, and straight up said that it makes him sick to see these two. Makes me sick too. Every time they pop up on the screen, I want to look in another direction. And this is when Edge said that he held resentment and bitterness over seeing Batista hold his World Heavyweight Championship. Batista said that he doesn't deserve the title, but he'll deserve the beating, and shoved him before leaving. Then The Undertaker came out and Edge sprinted out of there. You'd be thinking he finally heard about the Wingstop Pistons promo. Vicky, though, was stuck, and The Undertaker made sure to send the Rated R superstar a message with a tombstone pile driver. Now, this was a situation turned on its head. Edge, of course, had a plan, but also felt annoyed that the fans never checked up on him when he was injured. He claimed to contemplate retirement all because he was going to come back to a company that didn't appreciate him. But then Vicky Guerrero called him. He knew it was for selfish reasons to help SmackDown, but as they started talking, he saw her as a supporting figure and said a corny line. Sometimes you can't help who you fall in love with. At least in his case, he fell in love with someone who had power. Him hiding as a cameraman was Vicky's idea, and taking out The Undertaker, he knew he could beat Batista. Now, for storyline purposes, Edge had grown as a problem in Batista's career. A man that went from being Triple H 3 times in a row turned into the Dallas Cowboys, playoff Dallas Cowboys, anytime he met Edge. But with that said, Edge promised to destroy The Undertaker for what he did to Vicky.
No, this is off topic, but he's brought up the Cowboys. Let's talk about football just for a second. Why did the Chiefs have to make another Super Bowl? I don't even hate the Chiefs for real, even though I'm a Broncos fan. I don't even hate the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a great team. But, oh my God, am I tired of seeing them in the fucking Super Bowl. It's like watching Brady all over again, bro. I really hope that the 49ers win. Like, I really do hope that the 49ers win. I wanted the Ravens to beat the Chiefs. But the 49ers gotta win, bro.
He dedicated the match to Vicky and promised to win the World Heavyweight Championship. As expected, Batista was a tough challenge. The Undertaker, though, made his presence felt and cost him the match. Teddy Long, the assistant GM, came out and gave Edge a rematch, but made it a triple threat match, including The Undertaker for Armageddon. The Undertaker was given the title match as a punishment, similar to how Vicky gave Edge his title shot. Teddy Long questioned Edge's motives towards Vicky and told him that the match at Armageddon is still happening. Edge complained about Teddy having something out for him and making him relinquish the title before 30 days, which was something WWE usually did, you know. If you can't compete in storyline, you have to relinquish the title. While it was annoying for Edge to be involved with all this, it wasn't all bad. Batista accidentally speared The Undertaker, adding more drama to their rivalry. Vicky returned the following week, all traumatized from the incident, and Edge wanted to avenge her, but didn't want to have a match to do it. It was a tough challenge. 54 overall Funaki. Edge won, obviously, but Vicky was out here booking like it was GM mode, giving Batista a freaking last man standing match against Kane, and The Undertaker a handicap match against these two. Edge cost Batista the match against Kane, and Taker managed to overcome the two big guys. They attacked him after the match, and Edge stood tall to end the show on top. Decent build. It was all about establishing Edge's motives to reclaim his world championship. His methods were somewhat unconventional, trying to gain power by getting with the GM of SmackDown, and anything but a win would render the story pointless. So you know they had to book Edge as the winner here. Especially because it was about The Undertaker getting redemption and finally overcoming Edge, who was one step ahead of him throughout this entire feud. The match itself was good. This was right before Batista hit his peak as an in-ring performer. Maybe you can say he did, but regardless, this was his best era in-ring. Edge managed to win the title in a unique way, though. This guy brought out some clones and took advantage of a situation to win the World Heavyweight Championship for the second time. That was a weird-ass moment, seeing these two lookalikes come out. They always booked them to have these crazy-ass ideas, to get a single moment to take advantage and win a title. It was crazy. Later that week on SmackDown, Edge was presented with the World Heavyweight Championship. He thanked Teddy Long shockingly and called his fans the Edgeheads. The Major Brothers came out and he thanked them as well. He said that these two wanted to make an impact and introduce themselves as Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. And they cut some dry-ass 20-second promos. I like to listen to rock and roll. Oh, I like cuddling with my girl. Terrible promo, bro. This promo is horrible. Edge played a video package of himself and Vicky, and it was goofy. The new champion also thanked Batista for filling in as champion when he was injured, but said that later tonight, this will be the image the fans see. About that, Edge was on the verge of losing the title, but his guys made the save, and they took out the Animal with a concerto. With the Royal Rumble coming up, a Beat the Clock challenge was made. Rey Mysterio was the last man to get the chance to potentially win the whole thing, but his opponent was Edge. He was the biggest threat, so Edge took matters into his own hands. This didn't work the way Edge wanted it. The Undertaker and Batista came out and cost him the match, leading to Rey Mysterio winning the title shot. Rey had some history with Vicky, and that would be explored during this feud. She congratulated him on the win, but he felt weird about it. Now, despite their issues, Rey wanted to move forward, but questioned this whole thing with Edge. He knew that it wasn't her, and you guys know that they're gonna mention him. You guys know they're gonna mention the guy that's on your mind right now. And they did. They did mention Eddie Guerrero. Vicky said that Eddie would want her to move on and have Edge as a father figure. This guy as a father figure, okay. The world champion came out and immediately went after Rey for what he said. He told him that he's gonna beat him at the Rumble, and Vicky and him will still be in love. Rey agreed about the love part. Not about the world championship, though. Chavo Guerrero came out. Now, he had a problem with Rey, but he also couldn't believe Vicky calling herself a Guerrero after signing with Edge. The Rated R Superstar immediately went on the defense, but this drama would calm down with Chavo agreeing that Vicky could move on, and he was brought into La Familia. The duo made an impact later that night, destroying Rey Mysterio. It was a very dull build. The focus was just about getting things over with. But the Royal Rumble match between the two, good match between the two. Ray was finally getting comfortable after returning. They teased Ray winning. Vicky took the 619 and saved Edge from losing, leading to the midair spear. Good match. It's just the fact that it was very predictable. Everyone knew that Edge was going to retain here because the story involved him and The Undertaker. Ray was just in as an additional roadblock.
And Ray does
that's why I didn't have much to say about this as opposed to the previous feud. I just didn't have much to say. Edge was still pissed though since he had to face Ray at No Way Out. It went from bad to worse as Ray and CM Punk beat La Familia in tag team action. Edge's problems mostly revolved around Vicky Guerrero taking that 619 at the Rumble. He called her a selfless person for that. He promised her something for next week, but as for now, he called out Rey Mysterio and demanded an apology from him. Vicky slapped the hell out of him and followed up again. This turned out to be an ambush and both men had a brawl. Edge tried to bring out the chairs but ended up taking a 619. Mysterio managed to rebound and give everybody a preview of No Way Out. Then he decided to apologize to Vicky Guerrero. On the final SmackDown before No Way Out, Edge brought out Vicky Guerrero to ask a question. This was the day after Valentine's Day. And he proposed to her, and she accepted. Rey Mysterio ruined this moment and said that this was the most disgusting thing he's seen in his life. Top 5 for me. He was also hoping Vicky would drop the Guerrero name because she's disgracing it. He asked Edge, let's see how much Vicky loves you after you lose at No Way Out, and he took a 619 before Vicky took the seated senton. Edge was enraged. The night of celebration goes off again. This build was much better than the Rumble one. Ray seemed more of a legitimate challenger here. Not that he wasn't before, but it worked much better here. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, Ray suffered a bicep injury in Chile, and this match was shortened to 5 minutes.
Man, Ray done got injured so many times in his career, man, and it's so unfortunate. Because wrestling is very, like, it does a lot of wear and tear on your body, but he done messed up. He done been out a good amount, man. He done fucked up his knees, his arm, everything, man. But it's good to see that he's still able to do shit like this, you know, and hopefully he can finish on his own terms. You know, he's already in Hall of Fame, so, you know, shout out to Ray, man. He's my favorite wrestler.
Managed to beat Ray clean and move on to WrestleMania. Okay. The Undertaker, meanwhile, won the SmackDown Elimination Chamber to win the right to challenge the Rated R Superstar at WrestleMania. Edge called himself a predator, an opportunist, and to him, ending the streak was a great opportunity. He claimed he was like The Undertaker being undefeated at WrestleMania. WWE just tried to use Edge's singles WrestleMania run as a way to compare both men, you know, because Edge lost at WrestleMania 23, so it wasn't undefeated anymore. Edge said, unlike the fans, he takes his opportunities. That's why he's champion. The question of who will beat The Undertaker has been asked for 15 years. They've all fallen one by one. Edge said that he won't fail. He'll be the one to end the streak. All of a sudden, the lights go out and The Undertaker came out. The dead man went after all 3 members of La Familia and set the champion running. The following week, The Undertaker called out Edge and his guys to have a match. He was talking about the match with Zack Ryder. Taker had just taken out Big Daddy V, so this was a tough challenge. At least for Ryder, not for The Undertaker. Ryder actually managed to stay in the match, but Undertaker wrapped it up. Hawkins and Edge come in and try to take him out, but failed. The Undertaker just started using a triangle choke submission hold, and everybody that was locked in couldn't get out of the hold. In an effort to combat The Undertaker, Vicky Guerrero booked a handicap match between The Undertaker and La Familia. At the same time, though, he got into some drama with Ric Flair. Edge's plan didn't work. He managed to beat The Undertaker and prove that he can get it done. With that said, Edge and Ric Flair faced off in a handicap match. Edge had a lot of help by his side, whereas Flair had Shawn Michaels. The steel cage match was chaotic. The Undertaker came in and once again took out a bunch of guys. Edge made a run for it, and The Undertaker was still using his new submission hold, Hell's Gate, to take out others. Edge finally took advantage of him and managed to drop him with a concerto. On the final SmackDown before WrestleMania, Edge held a funeral for The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. The World Champion gave a speech about the streak and said he'll bury him and the streak. Edge was determined to eclipse The Undertaker's streak. He was driven by being the one to accomplish this. They played a video package of Edge breaking the streak, and he went on talking about how Vicky is the love of his life. The Undertaker came out from the casket and went on the attack. Number 1, never have a wedding in wrestling. Number 2, never have a closed casket in the middle of the ring.
I think I've only seen one wedding that has been successful, and that is the one with Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis. There's no other wedding in wrestling that I've seen go, like, good. And even that one almost went left, but, that's crazy.
Choke slammed Edge into the casket, took out La Familia, and gave everyone a sign of what's to come at WrestleMania. Okay. Edge's fixation on ending the streak has brought him down a path that many have walked through. They all failed. The Undertaker answered and overcame every challenge ahead and left a path of destruction. 15 tries and they all fell. Few of them have actually overcame The Undertaker himself, but never on the stage of WrestleMania. Edge believed he was the one due to his own undefeated streak in combination of being an opportunist and lucky. It served Edge well throughout his entire career. Why can't it work this time around at WrestleMania? This was Edge's first main event at WrestleMania and SmackDown's first main event in 5 years. The match itself was amazing. We're not going to try to make it seem like this match is like good. It was actually great. Edge was one step ahead of Taker throughout it and showed great composure. In his eyes, he had the advantage because Taker never beat him. He found out that the challenger had a significant amount of resiliency. Edge was countering everything, but The Undertaker was constantly kicking out. Since this wasn't working, Edge used the camera when the ref got knocked down, and Charles Robinson had to run down from WrestleMania 23 itself or something to get to the ring right when The Undertaker hit the Tombstone Piledriver. Edge, though, kicked out at 2. Hawkins and Ryder came in, took a chokeslam, and Edge capitalized with a spear. 1, 2, no. He hit another one, but The Undertaker locked in Hell's Gate. Edge was desperately trying to reach the ropes, but he couldn't. He was gasping for air, moving all around, flopping around like a fish on land. But he couldn't get out of the hold. He couldn't escape and tapped out. New champion. The Undertaker finally overcame the Rated R Superstar and regained the World Heavyweight Championship. 16-0 at WrestleMania. There was a lot of things special with this match. Edge knew he had a lot riding on this main event and being trusted to go out there with The Undertaker and have a great match. It main evented over Flair and HBK, the Triple Threat WWE Championship match, and Floyd versus Big Show. I think we gotta run back this entire WrestleMania. I haven't watched it in about 7 years. Now, even though Edge was a heel and somebody that already did well for himself at the time, WWE somewhat considered having him end the streak. Here's what he had to say in an interview, and I quote, "In the lead up to it, I was asked, what do you think about ending the streak? And I said no," Edge said. "Adamantly no. I don't think it ever should have ended until what we knew was his final WrestleMania. And then even no. I just didn't think it was right. At this point, it was like the streak was never going to end." Later that week, Edge kicked off SmackDown the following week in a state of anger. He lost the most important thing in his life, and no, it isn't.
I was just thinking about that. Like, that WrestleMania match was good. And I'm not going to lie. That Undertaker, that's a mix between the American Badass and the Dead Man, when he start actually doing like regular moves and start actually doing those suicide dives and shit. I would say from a period of WrestleMania 23 to WrestleMania 29, he cannot miss when it comes to WrestleMania matches. I'm talking about, who did he face at WrestleMania? It was Batista at WrestleMania 23, I believe. Then Edge. Then HBK 25-26. Then Triple H 27-28. And then CM Punk at 29. That nigga was on the roll, bro.
Vicky Guerrero. It was the world title. Edge felt like he let the family down and apologized to Vicky before promising on his faithfulness to her that he will reclaim the World Heavyweight Championship. Later that night, Kane faced his brother, The Undertaker. Both men took titles from Chavo and Edge, so Vicky wanted them to go at it. La Familia ruined the match, but this all didn't work, and the Brothers of Destruction managed to overcome the heels and drop them with a Tombstone Piledriver. Edge decided to calm down a bit after this and had a day at the spot. The Undertaker, though, was much busier dealing with Festus and Batista the following week. The Animal and the Dead Man were far too competitive, and after touching Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, who were in the crowd, Vicky Guerrero decided to book a match for the World Heavyweight Championship between the two. On the final SmackDown before Backlash, Edge was hyped to watch the main event. Bam Neely was brought in as a member of La Familia around this time, being the enforcer of the group, as other than Edge, these guys didn't have that tough guy element about them. Even Edge didn't. His stature, though, was much different to the other guys. With that said, Edge was very interested in Backlash. CM Punk was for different reasons. Edge asked if Punk thought that briefcase was his way to the top, implying he's a no-good mid-carder that can't break through, so he accused him of sleeping to the top, which is somewhat true. CM Punk wanted to tease a potential cash-in, and Edge told him to think long and hard about trying to cash in on him when he wins. Punk wasn't even thinking of him, but said that he could beat him. This led to a match between the two. Edge said that after tonight, Punk's gonna be bankrupt. They had a good match, which was expected. CM Punk had yet to hit his in-ring peak in WWE. This was one of the best TV matches in that year, though. It was pretty damn good. Punk had Edge beat, but a distraction from the outside led to the Rated R Superstar scoring the victory. As to the main event, it was no holds barred. These two destroyed each other, and after Shawn Michaels interfered, The Undertaker won the match. This was a dull build, very dry, because Edge and The Undertaker didn't really interact much, and they mostly relied on the story of having Taker go through these tough challenges. I think the biggest problem was that the stakes didn't feel so high because their previous match had everything going for it. WrestleMania, the streak, the fact that Undertaker never really got one over Edge. Whereas here, everything that happened at WrestleMania wasn't here. With that said, the match was decent. The story involved Edge working them back and slowing down the pace. This worked into his favor, but eventually the match picked up. The Undertaker was jumping off the top rope, there was interference drama, and of course Edge fell short to the triangle choke. He put up more of a fight, but it wasn't enough. The Undertaker's hold was becoming a dangerous one in WWE. Edge took so much damage that he was stretched out of there, and this was becoming a noticeable pattern that Vicky Guerrero made sure to take advantage of. Later that week on SmackDown, The Undertaker was forced to defend the World Heavyweight Championship against the Great Khali. Vicky Guerrero came out right before the match started and said that chokeholds are illegal in WWE, and this move is just that. He's damaged many wrestlers. She threatened him if he used that hold again, but she stripped him of the World Heavyweight Championship. The Great Khali came out to take the title away from him, but he was more washed than 2011 Shaq, so Undertaker dropped him and locked Hell's Gate. Going against what Vicky said, Hawkins and Ryder though managed to steal the title, and once he realized what happened, he was fuming. The following week, Vicky gave The Undertaker a match for the title at Judgment Day, but he couldn't use his illegal chokehold. His opponent was to be determined in a battle royal between former champions. Batista overcame everyone only to face a fresh Edge who was brought in. It's always Batista. The Undertaker, though, sent a message. But man, looking back, this guy Edge used to piss me off. Every week he'd find a way to overcome something and do it in the slimiest way. The Rated R Superstar said that he managed to get cleared right before the match and said he'll beat The Undertaker. The same man that can't beat him without an illegal chokehold. Teddy Long, though, rained on his parade. Since Vicky couldn't show up to a meeting, Teddy did. He was asked to tell her that since her relationship with Edge has been interfering with the SmackDown roster, she has to compete in a match. So she fired him. Well, actually, he quit. Then he revealed that her opponent is The Undertaker. There it is. That's the one. That's where the meme came from. There it is. There's the image, finally. Vicky, though, she changed it to a 6-on-1 handicap match and brought out everyone. These two walked out. The Undertaker was putting in the work and almost choke-slammed Vicky, but Edge hit his spear and they ran away. This build was much better. Vicky and Edge were exploiting any potential loophole for even the slightest chance of getting one over The Undertaker, taking away his move and stripping his title. The mental mind games weren't really working, however. Edge had delusionally thought that he was on a more even playing ground. It also planted the seeds for a potential end involving Vicky and Edge's crew of the Dealings coming face to face with the board of directors. The match at Judgment Day was exciting. It was a bit better than Backlash. It was much more dramatic. However, the result was controversial. The Undertaker had the match won by countout when Vicky Guerrero came out and said that the title can change hands by pinfall or submission, not by countout or disqualification. So the Undertaker hasn't won the title. He dropped Edge with a tombstone pile driver after hearing this, and she called him a SOB. So this feud continues. The Undertaker was constantly having the deck stacked against him, and it would continue. Vicky Guerrero booked a TLC match for One Night Stand. The Undertaker versus Edge for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. She also said that if The Undertaker loses, he will be banished from the entire WWE. On the final SmackDown before One Night Stand, Edge hosted the Cutting Edge with his guest being The Undertaker. The Rated R Superstar believed he would win because of experience, and he tried to play Undertaker's TLC highlights, but there was none. So he played his instead. The Undertaker came out and Edge was a bit worried. He added insult to injury, bringing out a casket since it was his last night on SmackDown, and Taker overcame La Familia while Edge was hiding. They took him out when Edge climbed the ladder and said this symbolizes him winning the title. The Undertaker, though, came back and dropped Ryder with the last stride. Edge made a run for it, and it was a short but intense build. The Rated R Superstar used his TLC experience as a means to finally regain the World Championship, a match that The Undertaker knows nothing about. This also made for an interesting match because it was one of the only times where The Undertaker was portrayed as the underdog. Edge took advantage of that and did well. As expected, though, The Undertaker figured it out. The spots were great in this match. Undertaker was sending Edge through a ladder, throwing him all around, flying, La Familia coming in, getting thrown through tables. But in the end, Edge's TLC experience, along with the help of La Familia, helped him win the World Heavyweight Championship for the third time. Great match. It was so damn good. It was awesome. It was a great match. Later that week on SmackDown, La Familia had ridiculous heat. The fans wouldn't let Vicky introduce Edge, and it took a while. It made things worse here. Edge was very thankful for La Familia, especially in a place like Los Angeles. He was proud of ending the career of The Undertaker and becoming the world champion again, and even though The Undertaker was gone, he did him a favor because he would have left WWE a beaten and broken man. He left with some dignity despite losing a TLC match to the greatest superstar in the history of the WWE. He gave a toast to The Undertaker and said may he rest in peace before trolling the fans. He got them. Vicky announced their marriage for next month, and again they had a lot of heat. The biggest problem, though, was that SmackDown was taped, so we don't know how much of it was the fans actually booing. All of a sudden, Batista interrupted. Vicky was upset by this, whereas Batista wanted an invitation. He's like, hey, you guys didn't invite me to this ceremony. Why wasn't I invited? He wished them the best before saying he hopes they have ugly kids. Batista was unintentionally funny during this era. He just was. He said that he's going to challenge the winner of the TLC match, and that's what he's doing right now. Vicky refused to give him a title shot and booked the tag team match. If Batista loses, he never gets a title shot again. Vicky chose his partners. It was Nunzio, Funaki, and Colin Delaney. Forget 3MB, what is this, 3KB? Batista, though, managed to overcome the odds and get his title shot. But even then, Vicky told him that if he loses his match against the Great Khali, he's banished from WWE. Despite the tough challenge, Batista overcame the odds and yet again another challenge the following week. He faced Chavo Guerrero with Edge as a special referee. Edge was messing around and did a fast count to give Chavo the win. They jumped him after the match and La Familia stood tall to end the show on top. On the final SmackDown before Night of Champions, Edge and Triple H went face-to-face. The game was just drafted to SmackDown with the WWE Championship and the World titles were on the same brand. Edge said that both champions could coexist, and Triple H said that Edge is going to lose the title at Night of Champions. Edge thought it was funny because the last time Triple H, faced John Cena, he tapped out. It was a matter of respect to Edge, and this is when Batista came out. Triple H threw him out of the ring only for Batista to spear him. He teased what's to come at Night of Champions afterwards. Later that night, La Familia attacked him and reclaimed the title Batista stole. The game saved the animal from La Familia, and Edge was enraged. This build was Edge and Vicky constantly getting one over Batista. He got drafted to SmackDown, and the result seemed all set for Batista to reclaim the title. It made too much sense, and looking back at it, it would have been the best decision. But let's talk about the match. It was good. This was Batista at his very best in ring. 2008 was by far his strongest year in ring. The match was dramatic and overbooked. A lot of interference from La Familia.
That just made me think that John Cena should have went to SmackDown. When they dropped, what was that, 2010 or 2011, where they did the switcheroo? I think that he should have went to SmackDown at least one of those times. There was no reason for him to stay on Raw for all of those years. Even though he eventually did it in 2016, there was no need for it to it should have happened sooner. I'm not gonna lie.
Chavo coming in as a referee. Batista even threw Vicky onto the heels, and it seemed like he was going to reclaim the title, but then Edge blasted him with the belt and won the match. This should have ended with Batista winning. I'm going to say right now. It made so much sense because of the story. He was constantly bottling it. He was messing up a lot with Edge, and this time around he got his comeuppance against Vicky. He was dropping everybody in sight, and winning the title here would have made this match a lot more memorable. Plus, the whole CM Punk thing later on, he wasn't that big champion that WWE were hoping for, nor were they pushing him as hard as they should because he's the world champion. I thought it should have been Batista here, especially because of Edge and his downfall. The story of Edge losing everything, going crazy. It kind of should have started here with Batista winning the title and Edge going crazy. But the next night on Raw, Edge made a rare appearance. He made fun of them for having no general manager and no title, and he said that John Cena, Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio, and Batista will never get a title shot for the World Heavyweight Championship. Batista, though, made sure to change that. He came out and obliterated Edge, and all of a sudden, CM Punk came out and cashed in the briefcase. The bell rings, Punk hits the GTS 1, 2, 3, new champion. Punk's win not only got him the world title, but it started to ruin the foundation of La Familia. Edge was enraged later that week on SmackDown and said that it wasn't fair, but he was looking forward to winning the WWE Championship. Edge thought that La Familia did nothing to make him happy, and even then Edge said he's gonna get through this. Best of all, he was upset over Vicky not giving him support. Vicky wanted to know if Edge lost his mind, and it was clear that he did. He said that the wedding is off, and the crowd went crazy. It seemed like Edge regret what he said, but he straight up said that he stands by it. He even said that she's not good enough for him and that he doesn't take orders. Vicky came out and booked a no disqualification match between Edge and The Big Show. He didn't care and she shut his mic off. Even Chavo agreed with Edge over Vicky disrespecting him, so she punished him by giving him a match against Triple H. As to the main event, Edge took a beating and it got so bad that Vicky stopped the match. They ended up getting back together and ended up getting married the following week. Edge and La Familia took over the show and dominated before the ceremony. Edge and Vicky were talking well about each other, and Triple H interrupted. This was the most blessed interruption in wrestling history. The game brought out a video for the couple, and it was Edge and the wedding planner, Alicia Fox. Edge is in a tough situation at this point. He tried to get them to stop this, but Triple H had a sledgehammer. Edge almost loves cheating outside the ring as much as he does inside it, and he was about to laugh at this one, because why not, bro? This is a goofy-ass wedding. They try to make it seem like your character cheated on his wife. It was funny. It was a funny situation. With that said, the match, I thought match was decent. The big story wasn't Triple H and Edge, it was Edge and Vicky. The Rated R Superstar dominated throughout the match, keeping his drama away. The match picks up, Alicia Fox and Vicky come in, leading to Edge accidentally spearing her, and Triple H capitalizing on this to win the match. So he wasn't going to win the world title. He didn't win the WWE Championship here. What's next? Edge had to work hard for Vicky's forgiveness, and even then it didn't work. He got her so mad to the point that she brought back The Undertaker and gave him a Hell in a Cell match against Edge. And this led to the Rated R Superstar basically losing himself. He said that he's been thinking constantly about this match and was looking crazy. He's been looking for ways to win the match, and this is when he revealed his guest on the cutting edge. It was Mick Foley. He brought him in, and Edge said he knows something lingers in Foley's mind. He said he saw him before and after the match. Foley can't walk anymore because of The Undertaker. Edge was basically looking for help, but Foley couldn't. He said that there's only one man that could help him. Edge, the man that had the greatest hardcore match in WrestleMania history. If that man doesn't show up, The Undertaker will destroy him. Edge said he understood and attacked Mick Foley. He brought that aggression and intensity he had in the past and sent Mick Foley through a table. Great segment. Edge looked like somebody that lost sight of who he was. A joke. Vicky Guerrero turned him into a joke. Somebody that couldn't be taken serious, and Foley reminded him of who he was. The Rated R Superstar, the guy that blasts people with a concerto, that had that mean streak to him. Edge was basically back. And that was the Edge that had to go in there and face The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell. If it wasn't that Edge, he was going to get destroyed. This ended up being Mick Foley's last appearance in WWE for a while. With that said, The Undertaker took out members of La Familia, causing Edge to go crazy and call him out. All of a sudden, he dropped Chavo with a chair, hit a concerto. Then to top it all off, he flipped Vicky's wheelchair. He blamed her for everything and said that Mick Foley was right. This is the Edge that needs to step into Hell in a Cell with The Undertaker. He promised to take her down to hell with him, and it was basically Edge who attacked La Familia earlier on. Edge was going crazy and losing his mind. He pushed her off the wheelchair and started going off about The Undertaker and their marriage, and it was some crazy stuff. Edge had done a great job of showing how much he lost himself. They didn't even need to bring in The Undertaker. All they had to do was sell the fear of The Undertaker. Edge, even during the match, was still so confident and prepared for the challenge. He actually did well and managed to adapt to the match. He had a creative spot with Edge spearing The Undertaker through the cell. He was one step ahead of The Undertaker most of the time. He was hitting him with a spear, a camera, and it still wasn't enough. The Undertaker made a comeback and dished out everything Edge did to him. He chokeslammed him through the table, speared him, hit him with a camera, hit the concerto, and to top it all off, the Tombstone Pile Driver. 1, 2, 3. Amazing ending, amazing match. It was paced like their feud. Edge in control for most of the time, but by the end, finally going down and paying for his sins. Then after the match, he chokeslammed him through the table and basically sent him to hell. From here, Edge went on a long hiatus for about 3 months, and The Undertaker feuded with La Familia. Alright, that's Edge's run from 2007 to 2008. I saved this one for a while, thought it was a good one, hope you guys enjoyed it as well. But I really liked how they took his rated R character and added a little more sleaziness, more cowardly. He was more of these things, you know, like he was already wild. Edge was already wild. He took Lita away from Matt Hardy, cashed in the briefcase, did all these crazy things, but here he married the boss. It was random. He's like, oh, I love her, you guys don't know. And eventually he revealed that he hated her, he was disgusted, that kind of stuff. But they took things a step ahead and actually had him lead the charge here. One thing I actually liked about La Familia as opposed to other heel factions, they weren't always on top. I don't think there was 3 consecutive weeks where La Familia dominated. There wasn't even a time where La Familia dominated throughout this whole run. They didn't. You know, Batista would whoop their ass, Undertaker would come in, even Rey Mysterio. Like, everyone would jump him. But yeah, Edge did very good here. The best match was most definitely WrestleMania 24. He showed up big time. Orlando, main event, on the biggest stage of them all, WrestleMania. It was amazing. Other than that, I do think Batista should have beat him at Night of Champions because storyline-wise, it made a lot of sense. So yeah. What would you guys think of Edge's run in 2007 and 2008? Please comment down below, and that's the first video. Make sure you hit the Edge.
It was a good video, man. That just brought back so many memories, man. Edge is one of my favorite heels of all time. He's right after Randy Orton. I feel like the only people who liked Edge back then were sleazy motherfuckers, slimy niggas who would do their homies dirty. And I'm saying it's like, I was a little kid when this was going on, so like, but like, if Edge was your favorite wrestler back then and he was doing all of this, I don't know about you, little bro. But yeah, it was a good video, man. Make sure y'all like, subscribe. Yeah, and I'm out, man. Peace.